Dina Dahl is an attorney and legal analyst. She is joining us now. Dina, I've been looking forward to talking to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So first, explain how this happens, because as I understand it, and you're the expert here, the judge is not saying that Weinstein is not guilty, just the evidence that was allowed in the courtroom. So can you explain a little bit about that?
So basically, this evidence, the judge in every case where it's like this has to make a determination. Is the evidence more relevant than prejudicial? And we don't convict people in this country because they are bad people. We convict them because they did this particular crime. So this type of pattern evidence, motive evidence, as prosecutors want to bring this in because it helps show that the defendant committed this particular crime because the pattern is so similar. But the problem is if it's too prejudicial and not connected enough to the actual crime on trial, then there could be this idea that the defendant didn't get a fair trial. And that's what essentially the appellate court said. You either brought in too many witnesses or the time frame was too inconsistent, or their stories maybe were a little too inconsistent. Maybe if they had brought in less of these uncharged witnesses, they wouldn't have gotten this overruled. But basically, they're saying the trial court judge made that balance between relevancy and prejudicial wrong.
So what does this mean for his case in California, Dina?
Well, California actually has an explicit rule that makes it easier for prosecutors to prosecute sex crimes. And so in the late 90s, they implemented this rule that says uncharged witnesses that have a bearing and can show pattern and motive are allowed in. So this type of overturning just based on the uncharged witnesses isn't a problem in California.
I have to say, this reminds me a lot of the Cosby case. Can you explain the distinctions here and, of course, the differences?
Yes. Well, again, you're right. He had his overturned on appeal too. Not quite for the same reason. His reason was because he testified in a deposition thinking that he had a Fifth Amendment protection. And then that deal ended up changing. And that testimony was used against him in a criminal court. And that was why the Bill Cosby one ran around. But you're right to both of the cases being overturned on like technical legal grounds. Both of them, not so much in terms of was the witnesses believable, but did the prosecutors kind of follow, or did the judge follow the law accurately? And in both cases, the appellate court saying no.
So the court has ruled that a new trial is necessary. What is the defense going to try to prove this time around?
It's interesting because they are also planning to appeal the California ruling. So it'll be interesting to see. That might go first, where that appeal goes. Because if the prosecutor decides, it sounds like they will decide to prosecute him, that might be a ways off. I think what we'll see is if they have any uncharged witnesses, it's going to be a lot less, maybe just one other woman, or they might do it without any, and to not risk getting overturned again.
We've heard from so many of the victims who were traumatized by being in court the first time around. Will a lot of them have to retestify in court?
If they do go ahead and move forward, yes, the victims that are actually the incidents that were actually charged, there's no way for them not to testify. The prosecution absolutely needs their testimony to get a conviction. So those women would have to testify again.
Dina Dahl, thank you for breaking all of this down for us. We appreciate your time.